get people down, yeah, evacuation route. So right now, if we get a decent rain, FM 1098 on 290 floods. And I've been out there several times where DPS has to have them exit the freeway in that single lane, cross over University Drive, FM 1098, and then pick up on and continue both east and west. That includes the 18-wheelers, folks. It's backed up for miles in both directions. So if there is a real emergency, the evacuation route will be really messed up right here. But if we can use that to help them build us some service roads. So that's kind of where we're going, because Economic Development Administration has to tie things to new jobs as well as this disaster recovery money. So new jobs will come from new businesses, you know, hotels, restaurants, and other services that are actively looking to set up shop right on 290 in Prairie View between James Muse and Leendo Parkway. So there's a lot going on there, and we're just trying to get some financial help through the grant, through the state. Doesn't matter to us. But we need those to really build up the city and have the services and the jobs for the people who live, work, and even study here. Too many of them drive to Cypress to go to work. And so that's a part of what we're taking place. And I was asked this morning to sit on a piece with some research that's being done with Stanford, Berkeley, and Northwestern University and Prairie View. So we discussed that pretty heavily, and that's just another one of the projects where we can collaborate and bring resources here like every other institution does. It's nothing new. And even in the National Science Foundation grants 7 or 8 months ago, collaborations are what they want. And we're the biggest beneficiary because we're the ones with the biggest need, the city. University is fine, looking good, doing a great job up there. So most of these grants and projects will inure to the benefit of all of those folks in the city and helping to build up the city and provide more services in the city and jobs in the city and increase the tax base in the city so that a lot of things will be built up just like any other city. So we're well on our way in those areas, and just wanted to share that information with you.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Wallace.
you just discussed the $90 million grant, and now we're down to $75 million.
Yes,
I know how you said you reach out to people in the university to go out for some of that money. Do you have a plan of having a meeting where us, the council, the citizens, we can all come together so we can all choose one? Something that we think are most beneficial for the city in terms of going for the money?
No, we don't have a problem talking about it. We've been kind of talking about those things for years. We sort of know what our needs are, but having a meeting to talk about it's not a problem. But keep in mind, the grant pool, it started at 129. When I got the email, it had gone down to 90, which was like 2 weeks. And just since that, a little over a week ago, it's gone down to 75. So we're talking about applying for and trying to get something in there pretty quickly.
And I do understand that because time is of the essence, because we're not the only city going forward. But I think even as a community development class presented about building the community from within to move forward, I think that we always need to be cognizant, especially when these things could change the city in different aspects. And we make sure we try to bring everybody to the table when we can, so that everybody feel like their voices are heard and that we can move forward as a city.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Mr. Johnson?
Good evening to the mayor, department heads, and residents of the city of Prairie View, friends of the area, and those who might just be visiting with us today. What you have here is the finalized combined financial statement for the city of Prairie View for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2018. Yes, sir.
Do you have an extra copy?
Did you get 5?
Good. Councilman Jones. I'll need an extra copy. Thank you.
Okay. What you have there is what we basically would give the auditors to audit this for this fiscal period here. And it's a little bit different from what you see every month because we combined all the different cost centers of the city. If you look at page one is the balance sheet. And on that balance sheet there, I did a comparison by years, starting with the year 2013 and bringing it forward to 2018. But it shows all the assets of the city, the different cost centers. Each column is a cost center. The general is your general administration. We don't have any special revenue. We have had in the past, but we don't have any current. What special revenue is if a community wanted to have some special upgrades made to their community, and they give the money to the city, and the city gets the work done. That's what would be under that special revenue column. But we don't have any of those projects currently taking place in the city. That's why there's no activity there. The other column is debt service, crime control. The enterprise fund is basically your public works, your general fixed assets, and then your general long-term debt. Those are all your different cost centers for the city of Prairie. And then we combine all those and consolidate them in the column that says 2018. The comparisons is what each year there are 17, 16, 15, 14, and 13. And the balance sheet comprised of the assets. Page 2 is where your liabilities start, and then the end of page 3 is your equity. We've always talked about, well, what is a balance sheet? Your assets is everything basically that you own, that you have in the city. How did you get those assets? You either purchased, you either paying for them, that's your liabilities, and the equity is the amount that you own outright. And so that's what makes up a balance sheet. If you go over to page 4 starts the income analysis. And page 4 is your general administration fund, what we call the governmental fund. It's comprised of, again, your general administration, special revenue, and your debt service. And that's what all of your lenders look at when they want to do an analysis of your city. They want to see just what comprised of your governmental funds. And if you go over to page 7 is the income and revenue and expenditures rather, for your public works. And we've done an analysis there from 13 through 18, so I don't expect you all to do anything tonight, but between now and the next council meeting, look at this. If you got any questions, and that's when, bring them up. If you have any between there, feel free to give me a call. But you can do some comparative analysis there from year to year to see just the trends that the city has transpired, especially in these income statements here. Just for an example, if you just look at page 7 and look at the very top line, which is water revenue, you can see from 2013 it was at $294,000, and then in 2018 it's $422,926. But if you look at 2017, it was $416,426. I definitely think that this, well, I know for a fact when we complete 2019, we're going to see an increase there because of, you had two major additions, the school and the Panther Hills apartments. So you're going to see an increase there in 2019. But I just wanted to just kind of give you just an overview of what you have before you there. And then on page 9 is your crime control and prevention. And we ran analysis of it from 2013 through 2018. But again, if you just look at those over the next few days, like I say, feel free to give me a call. If you have any questions for me at the next council meeting, I can entertain those there.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
For crime control, under crime control prevention, that's broken out because we get the extra point percentage, correct?
Yeah, crime control is broken out because the funds come from a sales tax,
Sales tax, right.
a separate sales tax.
So why don't we have that for the street maintenance?
Street maintenance is included, you do see it as a separate line item on the income statement, but it's a part of general administration. See, crime control is separated separately.
Can we get that broken out separately too?
Yeah, street maintenance, it is broken out. I'll tell you where it is. Go over to, if you go to page 4, and look at, in the middle of the page there, you'll see,
Well, you see it.
Sales
Oh.
tax, street repairs.
sales tax, street repairs. 98,646 was the total amount of funds that we took in. And then if you come down, and then let's look at what was expended, it's gonna be a separate line item under street, here we go, on page 5. Under street repairs and grass cuttings, 57,132. And I have an analysis of that 57,132 that I'll give to you all. I think I got an email from you,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna email that to the mayor tomorrow,
This is,
and y'all can get it from him.
this is the reason why I'm asking specifically what I'm asking for.
Mhm.
We need to break down, and we talked about this at the last meeting, we need to break out what the sales tax for street maintenance be, so we can make sure that we are, the expenses or what is coming in and out of the account.
You have it there. All I have to do is give you the detail of that one line item,
Right, so,
and I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna email that to the mayor. I have that.
right, but so what we're trying to set up is a monthly tracking total.
I can give it
just
to you
like
monthly.
we receive here.
Right, I'll give it to
We
you
want to
monthly.
receive that monthly.
Right, I'll give you a separate, what I'll do is make a separate column. I think that's what you're asking for street maintenance.
Well, for anything, right, so we have the general account. Last budget cycle, we had monies because of the sales tax that goes specifically into this
Right.
account. We asked for what specific line items what could be used out of this account.
Right.
We truly have never reved a response.
I
That's
have
why,
that.
goes back to what you said, but, you know, we've been asking this for 6 months. The goal of us having that is to be able to then have a plan for street maintenance, a plan for grass cutting, a plan for
Right.
tree, but we can't do that if we don't
I'm
know.
gonna give that to the mayor tomorrow in an email, and you can get it from him.
But we don't, we would like to, Mr. Mayor, so when he sends you that in the email.
If you would send it to Ms. Johnson and BCC all of us on the council, okay? Just send it to Ms.
I will.
Johnson, and that way it
I'll
won't
get
get
you
caught up
tomorrow.
in my myriad of
Right.
emails, and we'll make sure it goes out to the council.
Okay.
There's no reason
I
why
have it for
shouldn't.
y'all tomorrow. And it'll be broken out, exactly what was, that line item, that 57,000, will be detailed out.
But now, I think the one thing you share with us, Mr. Johnson, is that the way it's delineated, street repair and grass cutting, but there are a few other.
Oh, yeah, there are other items in there too, it's just
things.
not in the,
So,
it's anything related to streets, culverts, tree cutting, anything that we can relate to streets is in there. And the reason why, you know,
yeah,
it's in that line item.
That's why we wanted, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Go ahead.
The reason why we want a breakdown is because, like, all right, so say the pavement, all right,
I
so
understand.
we still have street roads that's not up to standards, need grass trimming up on the
I
side.
get you.
That's it. But the pavement outside was brought up to date. Well, if a citizen comes up to any one of us and say, oh, when was the pavement outside put down? None of us know where that money came from.
I'm gonna give y'all that.
And any of that.
I'm
That's
gonna
why
give
I-
y'all that tomorrow. I'm gonna give it to you. And then we have the budget, so whatever we have budgeted in there, I'll lay it out so y'all can have your meeting, and I can even meet with you to give you some guidance.
So you're gonna get the information to Ms. Johnson,
Yes, sir.
she's gonna get it out,
Right.
Councilman Rowland?
One of the issues, and I don't know if it's from, do we get it from the treasurer, is it something that we need to draft? In this line item for street repair and maintenance where we get the sales tax, there's certain items that we're saying qualifies under this. We want to draft do we need to draft a resolution that's specifically outline what is in this, or is it something that, is that something that should come from us, the attorney, or Mr. Johnson? Because this, we've talked about this for about 6-8 months about the line items, about this specific line item. And we want to be able to receive what can be used of this, and then what is the plan for the execution, because there's some things on, which again, will come from you, is there the policy on how much can be expended without the vote of council, line item transfers, and so those types of things, and those are all
policies.
great.
All those policy decisions will come from y'all to be,
Okay.
to be given for them to then put into place.
Okay.
In the email, can you be sure you include all of the subsets?
Right. I would include the subsets I would include all the subsets that we know that possibly can go in there. And it can't be some, I could miss some. Then that's where you all come in. And you'd say, oh, well, what about, and I'll communicate with you on that. But I'll lay it out, it's just like a budget. It'll be basically from the budget. That's what I got tonight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Municipal court? We have judge's report. Oh, Judge? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you do have my report. If you have any questions, I'll entertain any questions that you have.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm not really prepared to speak in great detail about the status of our FEMA claims, but we're on track. Everything that we needed to submit is basically submitted. A few of the projects have been awarded, but I'm not prepared to speak in great detail, so I'll maybe have some details for you on the next week.
No problem. We appreciate your efforts on that.
Thank you for all this work.
Thanks so much.
Police report, chief?
Mayor, Councilman, you have my report. If you have any questions, entertain any questions you may have. Yes, sir.
My question comes, I saw the myriad of pictures of the dogs that were stray. And it said that y'all go through a Lone Star Animal Recovery.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, what does the Lone Star Animal Recovery do? Do they get the animals back out after they groom them, or how's it?
If you'll see on that page, there's a cost sheet in there, and this month, well, the cost sheet's not in there. And I talked with Lone Star last week after I seen the cost. They take these dogs back out to, instead of euthanizing them, they put them back out for adoption. They got a considerable amount of calls that they picked up animals, which drove the cost way up. And so I called him last Friday and asked him where was he getting these calls from. Some of these calls were coming from citizens, and he was going out and picking animals up. What we've asked is that you call us or you call the dispatch, and then we will send him out. Because we need to, also I talked with our code enforcement guy, we need to start working more on our leash law as well, and ticketing people for dogs that are not on leashes here. So I did speak with him about that, and that's what drove this cost up on the animals. Yes.
So we don't currently have a leash law?
We do have a leash
So
law.
we just need to.
We just need to enforce that leash law.
Okay.
So the dogs that we picked up that belong to residents, what is the citation process or ticketing, or what is?
Most of these dogs, when they're running loose, he's picking them up. For an instance, last month, this bill came from about a 3-month period, from about 7 to 9, and it was like $800. This time I looked at it, it was like more, I think, almost $2,000. And so those are things that, when it came up, so I gave him a call and asked him where are we getting these calls from for these dogs? Because then that way, if our code enforcement guy is also in on the leash law thing, then we can get these animals and get them back to their owners and get them ticketed also before we're having to pick them up and then take them and put them back out for adoption.
So what is the process between the ticketing and picking up the dog? So do you pick the dog up and then write the ticket, or?
The leash law itself, Councilman, if you got a dog running off the leash, that dog belongs to someone, we have a leash law ordinance and they should receive a citation at that point.
My question, and we may not have a resolution on file. Is this something that we need to work towards making sure that all dogs, so this kind of moves us to like making sure all dogs are registered within the city? Is that one of those things we don't, like, so you have to have, like, most of you have your dog and it has a licenses on it. And so the question is,
Kind of falls right in the leash law though. The dog is not supposed to be loose. And that's been the biggest problem. We've had two that I'm aware of, citizens who were bitten by other people's stray dogs or loose dogs. So, you know, we gotta keep the city safe. We've got our residents, our students, just everybody walking. We got some people who don't who would stop walking because of loose dogs. So I'm glad that people are calling, but I'm just hoping, at least with my last conversation with him, if Councilman Randall had a dog, and I can use him because I know he don't have a dog, but if he had a dog and he called to get his dog, then why is he not getting a citation when he gets his dog? Because now that you've identified the owner, so if we're doing that, I think it'll pick up on, you know.
And that's what we're trying to do
the service.
with, trying to curtail that price that we're having. Also enforcing that leash law that's been on those books and needs to be looked into. What we're finding too is a lot of those dogs are stray dogs that people are dropping off. When they're dropping off those stray dogs. And a lot of pit bulls, when you drop those off, they become a danger to that community. And people are walking, like the mayor said, we've had at least 2 people that were bitten by stray animals. So we're looking at it to try to get that cost down. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Chief, and how would you feel best to get the number, like you say, so a resident knows to call dispatch to have a PD?
We had put that out once before,
Okay.
when it came to that, and on some other things of getting people to call. Actually, if you'll call dispatch, dispatch will call us before we have Doug come out. Doug is the animal control.
Maybe we'll work on the flyer, we can post it around like the post office and then stick it in the newsletter so people know.
And that gives us a chance too to take a look at
Keeps it right there.
In the past, it has been communicated to the community that they call the police department, not Lone Star, because you have to manage it. And I don't know, I guess, Chief, you're saying that some citizens are now calling Lone Star?
yes.
That's not supposed to happen.
Well, he may have given out a number when he went out
I
or something.
understand,
when he's
right,
business,
but it should come
so
through Chief.
We'll
Right.
fix it going through dispatch, but we gotta give
We'll
him the
make
number.
it, we'll make it work, because that cost was just, it had skyrocketed way too much.
So can you respond to a citizen's call? How does the bill fall on you all if y'all didn't call him?
Well, because he works for the city. He works for the city. A lot of what you see on this bill, was what I was looking at, was they were bringing these dogs back out for adoption. He didn't have as many the month before, which, like I said, was like $800. But the others, you have to hold those, and it costs so much to put that back out for adoption, and that's what drove the price up. And that's what we need to work on getting down.
is that something we need to work on, or is that something?
We're looking at it, because combined with that, in the leash law, I think we need to come to a meeting, man, working the leash law as well. Yes, sir.
Talking about dogs, how is our dog?
Our dog's doing good. He's been called out on at least 2 to help. He went out to help Harris County here on I-10 a couple of nights ago. He's been called out from some different agencies. Also, I think last Friday was called out as well to help Hempstead. So we're getting some stuff out of the dog. Dog is an older dog with a lot of energy. So It's a good dog.
Just a quick question, this, two applicants from Thomas, this is what we already approved?
Yes, sir. It is what you already approved, and we'll be bringing them before you next council meeting.
Yeah, just a caveat here, animal control is a separate line item on the general administration budget. And the only charges that basically go through there is Lone Star, because they do all the animals, dogs, horses, cats, what have you. And I know in the past year, they were the only, they are the city's sole vendor in that area.
Right.
So, what I was thinking was, like, yeah, he works for the city, but if the city isn't the person calling them, how does the bill come back to the city?
Well, that's what we just talked about. That shouldn't take place. It should come, they should call the city, then the city dispatches them out.
Right, exactly, that's what I'm saying, so in the event, so, obviously Lone Star is the only person, the city of Prairie is the only person Lone Star works for. So
Right.
if some random person in Hockley or something calls Lone Star to come out, he's not sending the bill to Harris County, right? He's sending the bill somewhere else. Right?
And it does work that way, Councilman. If he's got a horse that's out, and that horse belongs to someone, everything that goes along with that horse belongs to that person.
right?
Yeah,
Absolutely. It
that's
goes
right.
to that person.
Hey, I know,
It goes to that person. But when it's a
Exactly.
dog, when it's a loose dog running like that in the community, then that's a little bit different. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
That's how that works.
Well, it's easy enough to cure. We just
Yeah,
have
right.
Lone Star give them dispatch number,
Right.
whenever a resident calls him. But the fact that he's taken so many and these several pit bulls off that we know biting people, we do have a responsibility to keep our city safe. And he's the only one out there to really, and with some of these dogs, I wouldn't even want our officers interfering with some of these dogs because he's trained to do that and has been pretty good at it. So, yeah, we'll just have him tell them the number to call and then he'll dispatch them accordingly.
So last thing, just for clarification purposes, in the event that it is a dog, and that's what we're talking about, if the dog has an owner and the dog is just out of his cage,
Yes.
then that cost is associated back to the owner?
That cost is associated back with the owner with a leash law citation.
Oh, awesome, that's all I need to know.
Anything else? We're good?
Appreciate it. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Public Works.
Ordinance violation.
Oh, we do have an ordinance violation report. Yes. Ordinance violations, Officer White? Thank you.
You have my report on this, put it up there if you have any questions. This is a short report. I was out 2 days last week because of the virus. I'm just now getting back, so this is what we continue on the next council meeting. If you have any questions.
Oh, good work.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Anything for Officer White, Counsel?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
As far as the process goes, so what is the timetable? Say there's a piece of property that has, you know, an enormous amount of grass or high grass, or it's whatever, right? And we're sending citations, sending fines, and there's still no action. At what point of that process does the city cut that yard or whatever, then attach the fees to the homeowner? Is that part of the process?
Well, we'd have to get with the attorney about that. 'cause we Yeah, give- it's a different process. Process, right. Once we give out a 10-day notice and citation has been issued, it's going through the court system, then it'd be a different notice for the city to take over.
Okay, so what is our current process for inaction after we've sent fines, we've sent citations, and nothing's
And
done?
I apologize, Councilman, I don't know the answer to that question because I haven't seen y'all's ordinances, but typically a city will have a process in place that is driven by statute that
Right.
says that you can issue, and it's not through the, so enforcement is through the civil system, punishment is through the criminal justice system. And so the municipal court system, we issue a citation and a fine. That doesn't mean they have to cut their grass. It just means they go to court and they can argue guilty or innocent and have a trial.
Okay.
So there's a separate process that's set up by statute that we have to follow for purposes of enforcement to require them. If they don't cut it, we have to send a particular notice. Then after a certain amount of time, we do have the right to then go in and maintain it consistent with what our regulations are, and then eventually put a lien on the property. But it's a separate civil process that we would go through.
Would you mind looking into that for me?
Yes, sir, I would. Yes, sir.
Boston.
Good evening, Mayor Allen, council, and residents of the city of Prairie View.
Good evening.
In front of you, you should have your operations report for December. As usual, all the back two samples have been taken for the month of November and are in compliance. We've received and filed the monthly production for the groundwater conservation district. We've also performed the monthly grease trap inspections for the month. Our operations overview, both lift pumps for Brookside Lift Station have been replaced. So we're currently closing out the insurance claim with TML. We've also done major maintenance at lift stations caused by power surges in the area. Installation of surge protection is required at these particular lift stations.
And where are we with that? Because we've been working on that for a few months now.
That's right, with Danielle over at FEMA. It's still in the process. We're hoping to get those 404 mitigations funds released soon. That way we can go ahead.
Because they did approve them, we just haven't, they have just haven't released the fund, right?
That's correct, that's correct. It's still in the process. The last correspondence that we've had with Donnell, he did say, you know, it's entirely up to the city if they want to go ahead and fund that and wait on the monies to come in afterwards. So that'll be for the city to make that decision.
How much is it per lift station, do you know?
It's roughly $2,500 per lift station, and then six lift stations, that's correct.
Councilman Rowland, you have a question?
Was it 2 months ago, you reported about reports that were submitted,
TCQ?
TCQ reports, and we had violations, and I submitted those reports. You got an update on that?
Yes, I have not heard back from TCQ as of yet, as far as the violations being released, but they have received all the information from USW Utility Group as far as those violations are concerned.
Second part to that question. One, are we being fined daily? Two, was it USW who's gonna submit on behalf of the city? Or is there still some outstanding? Because when you presented us the information, there were some things that USW said they did, and there's some things that our public works was supposed to do, and we weren't on the same page. And so have we rectified that situation to make sure we don't have that violation again? And two, since the city of Prairie View had some documents that were outstanding, we've given those documents to you, so that's what's been submitted, or is it just, you're just saying USW has did their part?
No, there have been no fines that I'm aware of at the city has been issued. We have issued, we have corresponded with the city, with TCQ as far as